Hi, I'm Andrea Tagliaferro, founder of Yacht Femme, and I want to welcome everyone to our second online forum of 2026. Today, we will explore key strategies for implementing sustainability in yacht production and operations. Topics include sustainable interior design and refits, advanced propulsion systems, client perspectives and trends in sustainable yacht purchasing, and practical onboard sustainability practice. Here's a quick overview of today's sessions. For our first session, we have Sustainable Interior Design and Refits, Maximizing ROI, with Clarissa Androsoni and Charlotte van de Kerk, moderated by Sophie Spicknam. Then exploring Nuclear Alternative and Wind Propulsions, with Lydia Moss and Camille Lopez, moderated by Claudia Reniers. Following with Everyday Sustainability, Onboard Practices, and Client Perspectives, with Amiria Bakaeva, Jelena Besia, and Leah Tenant, moderated by Monica Fonseca. And we will finish with client insights on sustainable yacht purchasing with Bilge Atal and Carmen Lau, moderated by Nati Mado. We welcome your comments and questions on whatever platform you're tuning in from, and we'll do our best to answer them during the forum. Now, let's begin. We'll kick off with Sustainable Interior Design and Refits, Maximizing ROI. This session explores sustainable practices in yacht interiors and refits, from eco-friendly materials, energy-efficient systems, to circular design principles. Experts will discuss emerging trends, innovations, and the future of sustainability yacht design, while also examining ROI, cost-effectiveness, and long-term value, and drive real-world adoption. To moderate this session is Sophie Spicknam. She's coming back now for her second Yacht Femme forum. Welcome, Sophie. Sophie is the news editor at the Super Yacht Times. She manages the daily news desk, focusing on stories from across the yachting industry with a focus on yachts over 24 meters. She's dedicated to informing and engaging readers with the latest news and in-depth features from around the world.
Thank you. Thank you for that lovely welcome once again. And yes, I think it's 7 sessions now. So I feel like I'm a little bit of an expert of this, but I'm not quite an expert in this subject. So joining me today, I have 2 speakers. The first speaker that I have joining me is Charlotte van de Kerk, who leads the ESG Fedship Royal de Vries shipyard, embedding sustainability across yacht building. She develops governance frameworks, drives supplier and value chain collaboration, and integrates environmental and social priorities into operations, shaping a forward-thinking, responsible yachting industry. So welcome, Charlotte.
Thank you, Sophie.
And alongside her today, we have Clarissa Androsoni, who is a business development director at Winkles Yacht Interiors. She's also the founder of Smart Interiors Horizons and the owner of her own consultancy. With 15 plus years in yacht and cruise interiors, she bridges design, strategy, and sustainability to deliver high impact projects and drive industry innovation. So welcome as well, Clarissa.
Thank you very much, Sophie.
Amazing. So today's topic, we are talking about designing the sustainable yacht. And on that subject, we'll be speaking about innovation, ROI, and operations. So I think the best way to start this off is by looking at the current sustainable practices in yacht interiors and refits. So my first question for you ladies is, how does sustainability differ in approach between new builds and refit projects?
Well, I might take this one, if for you is okay, Charlotte.
Yes, that's fine.
But you're absolutely welcome to, of course, join the conversation. So first of all, we need to define, there are 2 different words, the new build and the refit. New build is a kind of blank page where we can start from the very beginning to define where sustainability can be implemented. While refit is a little bit more trickier situation because it's not just about implementing sustainability as a new approach in materials, in solutions, but it's the challenge there is how to manage what is already existing. So how to minimize the waste and how to reuse and how we could, let's say, foresee a responsible disposal. But then I would really like to highlight something important, that refits in this moment represents one of the greatest sustainability opportunities for our industry, because this can really make longer the life of our yachts.
Of course. And you mentioned a little bit there about how important it is to sort of be speaking about these topics from the beginning and speaking about sustainability. So actually this question might be a little bit positioned towards Charlotte, but also feel free to jump in as well, Clarissa. But how can sustainability be positioned as an asset rather than a cost during these owner discussions?
Yes, I'm happy to answer that. Well, I think the key here is to move away from presenting sustainability or the improvement you want to make as an additional requirement or something new, but instead position it just as a better performance and very much as a lower operational burden. And I believe that owners don't necessarily want to have sustainability as a label, but they want the yacht or their yacht to perform reliably, and it's easier to maintain that and to retain its value. And that is where we have all that lifetime extension aspect that Clarissa already mentioned.
And how early on should we be looking at these sustainable decisions to achieve the best results?
Well,
from the beginning, I would say, Clarissa, do you agree?
Absolutely. This must be for sure from the first idea. So I would say, because when you start addressing also technical solution, this solution will have a huge impact to sustainability in execution of the vessel on the production. So super early stage, absolutely.
Yes, and actually on every aspect on sustainability. So because very important to define what are we actually aiming for. Sustainability is quite a large subject, not just one single target. And the earlier the better for technical solutions, but also for material selection. And I think the easiest way how to do that is to treat it a little bit like cost or planning. Just define KPIs, make it tangible, make something that a project manager, but also an owner and an owner's team can understand and can manage. And I think that is a very, very tangible interface tool.
Absolutely. And something also I think it could be helpful from, of course, shipyard side, because it's shipyard in that case that has the responsibility along the process of building to have a person responsible for that.
Yes.
So that it doesn't remain like just a general topic that nobody takes responsibility into taking care and addressing that every point, every KPI is met.
Yes, so assign ownership, that is what you're actually saying. And that is what quite easily fits into existing project governance that a lot of companies, and not only shipyards, have. It just feels so additional and so extra and so difficult, but in the end, it's not. At least that's what I believe.
Absolutely. And I think we're going to learn a little bit more about this through some of the other talks today as well. But I think when a lot of people think about sustainability when it comes to yachting, they often think of materials. And I think, Charlotte, you touched on that as well. And it was nice that you mentioned, other systems as well. But whilst we are on the topic of interiors at the moment, what are some of the biggest challenges when sourcing and certifying sustainable materials?
Well, if I can make a point here, Charlotte, of course. I mean, there are so many points which creates a big challenge. I mean, from fragmented certification, regulatory requirements, scalability, cost perception, life cycle assessment, alignment of all the stakeholders. I would say that I would point out 2 points where with Smart Interiors, we are trying to identify a solution that we don't just highlight the problem, but we highlight also a possible development for the industry. So the first one is the life cycle assessment. What has been done by the industry so far is very advanced. There is a big work also done by the Water Revolution Foundation on with the Yeti system on the, let's say, the tracking from the cradle to gate. Is where we need now the further support is from the gate to the cradle in order to have cradle to cradle, let's say, assessment. And in this case, with Smart Interiors, we are working with companies like Saila DV. It's an AI tool that will track the lifetime of all the materials inside the boat. So we cannot only give the final, the end of life, let's say, solution, but also tracking either the refits part and also the status at the moment the boat is leaving. And then the other, let's say, second challenge, I would say, is to have a common tool for the industry. And that's something we are also trying. I mean, that's a super big challenge this year for us at Smart Interiors, is to have a material intelligence, start a material intelligence database that can be a tool used industry-wide to give all the needed certification, not only just the, let's say, sustainability certification, also company certification of all the companies working in the industry. So to have a tool that can be used by everyone in the industry, so we don't have all this fragmentation within information at the moment.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. I think what you mentioned is really the traceability and the documentation that is important here, because I believe the hard part is not finding the greener option, but it's like proving it and documenting it. Beside the fact, like trusting it will last. But so this aim for an industry or sector-wide system or way of working is something I very much embrace.
I couldn't agree more as well with you both there, ladies. I think you brought some really good points up as well. And the nice thing about our industry is I think it's looking to evolve as well with systems such as Yeti from the Water Revolution Foundation, and also just making sure that we're checking regulation constantly, because I think there's been quite a few companies recently that have been caught out with regulations, especially around teak and things like that. And it's just so important that we're following this every step of the way as well. But how can project teams ensure that sustainability still remains a priority throughout the build or refit process?
Yeah, I would say it's a bit what we already discussed. So looking into your existing project governance, because that is usually that's a good working project methodology with interfaces with between internally the project team, the production people, but also the owners team and then the interior architect. So weave your sustainability KPIs, including the ownership, into that, and use that for having the discussion from the very early project stage, and just along all the phases, because every project phase, like from designing, engineering, production, they have their own sustainability challenges.
And I think as well, we were talking a little bit about how the industry is evolving and moving on as well. Clarissa, you have quite an extensive background as well in both cruise interiors as well. So what lessons maybe could the yachting industry learn about sustainability advancements from other luxury or marine sectors?
Well, I would like to bring at the table a very early reference. So I was lucky enough to be invited to host a panel in the next days at the Blue Design Summit, where I was bringing on the stage a very interesting example of how we could use other industry successes and just copy. So we don't have to invent anything in the industry. We just need to take like inspiration And we brought on the stage, this company is called Luce 5 Yachting. They do, let's say, lighting solutions. They're working mainly with they started with the luxury fashion industry. The fashion industry is very much regulated, so they had so much strong requirements from the industry that they had to adapt in order to work with them. At the beginning, this constraint was, of course, something that it was an important investment from their side, but then it became like an opportunity for innovation for them. And now they're bringing like a very much advanced solution for the yachting world as well. So when we could use, of course, the most powerful tool could be, of course, when this comes from the most powerful clients in this case. So shipyards, could be also designers. The other interesting point, so from another industry, I was speaking with Paolo Zilli. He's the director of the Zaha Hadid Architects. And he told me that there is something they are doing when they renovate buildings. So there are specialized companies and their job is just to take all the trash and transform these materials into reused materials. So all the discard material is then becoming like a new material for the new build of the same building. So that's great. That's really amazing. And this we have early stages in our industry, and I would like to bring also an example of Foglizzo leather, for example. They use all the discarded leather from, when you select like high luxury leather, of course, you want a panel, you need to have the full height of the cow. All the cuts, usually they need to be discarded, so they're not used. They're using all this waste and they're producing a new leather out of this. So I think we already have a few interesting innovations, and we also have very good examples outside, which are very easy to take into our industry.
Absolutely. I think we'll probably learn a little bit more about this through some of the other talks as well, especially with things surrounding sort of propulsion and energy and things like that. But we mentioned at the beginning that we'd also be talking about not just innovation and operations, but also ROI as well. So maybe a question for you, Charlotte, here, but how do you evaluate the return on investment for sustainable design choices in yacht interiors?
Yes, that is actually also jumping back to a bit like how you would evaluate cost. But in general, I for ROI on sustainability, I like to look through what I call the life cycle lens. So so not only looking onto the investment upfront, but looking into or finding ways to quantify how a decision performs over time in terms of energy use, maintenance, downtime, future value, which is also very important to clients, I believe. So what I see is that a lot of our sustainable choices, they just don't always give the lowest initial cost, but they tend to reduce future interventions and certainly operational complexity. And that is where I believe the real value sits. So, but what makes it complex here is that sustainability has just so many objectives. So you can focus on CO2 reduction or sourcing, what we discussed, or durability. And those don't always point to the same solution. So it's quite a complex system of figuring out how you build your own ROI model on that. And but that life cycle framework idea, that actually helps to bring these different trade-off insights into at least one decision structure. And you're just able to play around a bit which one you would like to prioritize if you want to. And that is actually something that enables a lot of very valuable discussions internally, but I also believe that they can be used externally with clients and owners' teams.
I think as well, it's really important that we look a little bit at how we can turn these sort of sustainable ideas into a practical implementation. My goodness me, which actually I think, Clarissa, you might be able to shine some light on this one as well. So what role do collaboration and education play in moving forward from, I guess, intention through to execution?
Sure. So first of all, I would like to make a connection in between the question you made before on something really important on measurable sustainability, because measurable sustainability also leads to access to finance. So this could be a very good return of investment at the moment, where both shipyards and suppliers can access also to fundings once we, let's say, we can measure sustainability. And then bridging to that, answering your question, I would say that knowledge is really important. So measurability of sustainable outcomes, this is really important. And also as, let's say, I would say as a takeaway from the Blue Design Summit, I was there. I mean, what came out is the industry really has many tools at the moment. We have fragmented but many tools. What we really miss at the moment is collaboration through the full chain. So I believe that once we are really able to implement collaboration, then we will be able to really fasten this process to a more sustainable overall outcome.
Absolutely. And Charlotte, as well, as we're starting to get towards the end of the discussion here, a couple more questions for you both. But Charlotte, what is one practical step that the industry could take to make sustainability more actionable and measurable?
Yeah, that's a good one. I think what we need is that we make sustainability visible, but also comparable, because when you make it comparable, you can actually make better decisions, or your decisions become more structured. What I very much would like to see, sticking to interior design, is that the ideas of Yeti, that we put those into a sort of component or material or interior element passport. So something that you can that you know when you design it, or you go for something that you know that documenting origin.
Oh, I think we might have frozen there for Charlotte.
Yeah, I was afraid it was me, but it's not. It's worst. Here she's back. Okay.
I think we're back, Charlotte. We just froze a little bit there, but if you just want to repeat your last point for us just then, just because I think we might
so I was talking about this passport idea that I have. So with material or component for measurement interior elements, so that we can have direct access to origin certification, maintenance needs, durability, end of life, treatment and considerations. So very much a Yeti type approach, but then specifically for interior. I think that is something that would really improve a lot of structured decision making, specifically for interior, the interior side of yachts.
Of course. And did you have anything to add there, Clarissa? Sorry, I know we kind of got a little bit cut off in the middle there.
No worries. No, I cannot agree more. I mean, we started Smart Interiors Horizon with this objective. So to bridge, everything started after the presentation of the Yeti, where we were just spotting that there was a missing part. So what about interiors? And that's how the collaboration with Water Revolution started. Yeah. So let's work on interiors, and that's what we are trying to achieve. Of course, it's a collective effort. So we need to put together all the players. We cannot do anything by ourselves. We can just be the collector of all the companies and information, and take care that we have a communication and collaboration process. But absolutely, that's the most important part.
And I think that's nice as well that you were talking a little bit about sort of moving forward in the future and things like that as well. So if we were to look ahead towards the future, what mindset or shift or decision do you believe would be the most critical for turning sustainability from an ideal into a consistent industry standard?
If I would say, stop thinking that it is adding something extra. Sustainability is just specifically for interior. It's about making better decisions where you balance between different objectives, and that you create yachts that perform better over the full lifetime, but not as like an extra green thing. So in the end, the greenest solution is actually often the one that you don't have to replace. So that comes back to a decision that you make up front.
And from my side, I would say we move a little bit towards now, let's say, concept. What is luxury today? So luxury today needs to really entail this specific period we are living in. So the respect and the protection of the environment we are working and living in, I would say it's becoming more and more important. So what was luxury 50 years ago is not what is luxury today. So when we shift a little bit the meaning, and we start communicating alongside the industry with everybody, so what is really luxury today, also then sustainability becomes embedded in the most qualitative product we can have. So it's not anymore an added point, it's part of the description.
Exactly.
I couldn't agree more. That was a perfect way, I think, to sum it up from both of you there. So I'd like to say a big thank you to both of our speakers today, Charlotte and Clarissa. I know we had a few little technical difficulties there, but thank you so much for sticking with us and sticking through the rest of the stream. And of course, thank you very much to Andrea for organizing.
Yes, thank you both.
No, thank you all. Without you, there was no content. So I really appreciate all the insights, your time, and the valuable insights that we will listen again in the repeat when we do the recording. But for right now, we're going to take that 2-minute break so we can stretch our legs for the next session. Thank you, everyone. everyone, we are back. Thank you so much for waiting, and we will get ready for now our second session. So we were talking about exploring nuclear alternatives and propulsion options. This session will examine how yachts are adopting advanced propulsion technologies to reduce environmental impact while enhancing performance and efficiency. From nuclear and hybrid systems to advanced energy frameworks, experts will explore the cutting-edge solutions transforming both sailing and motor yachts. This discussion will highlight how these innovations are making sustainable technologies accessible to our broader audience. Moderating the session, we have Claudia Reniers. Claudia Reniers is the Director of Yacht Management at Lursen. Claudia has been part of the Lursen Group for over 20 years, beginning her career as a team assistant before moving into leadership roles while completing her MBA in parallel. Today, she leads Lursen's yacht management, overseeing a full scope of yacht management services with more than a decade of experience guiding the team. Welcome, Claudia.
Thank you so much, Andrea.
So I'm actually going to be throwing you a curveball for you and Lydia right now. I see here that we also have joining us Camille Lopez. So I will do a quick intro to her as well after you introduce Lydia so you can have a full conversation. So let's add Camille Lopez. But Claudia, feel free to introduce Lydia.
Okay, thank you so much. We have here with the panel Lydia Moss. Lydia is a business development management for Divergent Yachting, offering yacht management and build consultancy to clients globally. Recently, Lydia has become part of the team at NOx3. NOx3 is a collaboration of companies who are leading the charge to bring nuclear into yachting. Lydia is working closely with the NOx3 team, presenting the latest technology to shipyards, designers, naval architects, and owners teams to share the possibility and feasibility of running a vessel with zero fossil fuels. Hello, Lydia.
Hi, Claudia. Thank you so much. And thank you, Andrea. It's great to be here.
Welcome. And I'll briefly introduce Camille and then leave you out to your discussion. So Camille Lopez is the founder of HY Plug, a maritime energy transitions consultancy based in Monaco. Raised on France's Mediterranean coast, she blends a lifelong passion for the sea, nature, mechanics, and engineering. And she's fluent in French and English. She's also joining us after being in a full day of conferences. So I will leave you all to your discussion.
Okay, thank you. So we will start with the topic nuclear hybrid and alternative propulsion technology, which is an interesting one in regards as well to sustainability. So my question to you both is, what are the most promising nuclear hybrid or alternative propulsion systems currently being developed in the yachting industry for the yachts?
Yeah, sure. I'm happy to take this one. It might be a slightly biased view on the most promising, but obviously there's been a lot happening in this space recently in the super yacht industry and lots of exciting projects in the last few years. We've had obviously Breakthrough, Project Zero with Vitters, obviously Damen have just released their 75 hybrid and lots of other hybrid projects coming up as well. So it's a very exciting time whilst we're looking at alternative fuels for yachting and what that means for the future of yachting. But I've been involved now with NOx3 since September last year. And NOx3 is a collaboration of companies who are introducing nuclear to the super yacht industry. There's been a few panels on this at recent yacht shows and a few other people that are also working together to make this a reality. But it's a really exciting time for nuclear and for the yachting industry. So one thing that we've been working on, NOx3 started in 2021 when we were approached by a client who wanted to build the first nuclear yacht. At that time, there was fairly not limited technology, but the technology that was available was relatively hard to design into the current design specs that we were working with. And within those last 5 years, the technology has moved along a lot. And we've now partnered with a company in the US who are building 1 megawatt units. And these are easily deployable for any maritime applications. So it's a really exciting step, not just for nuclear, not just for yachting, but for the maritime industry as a whole. So there's lots going to be happening in that space in the next few years.
Thank you so much, Lydia. Do you have anything to add, Camille, from your side? Would you like to add anything to this question?
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me today. Regarding the nuclear, we don't work directly in the company with, but we've been attending a couple of conferences to at least, keep in touch and knowing what's going on in this field. And I've been pleased to discover that the technology itself in nuclear is evolving to have less radioactive materials. So at the end, the discussion is as well regarding health and some potential, let's say, human fears. It's moving as well in the good direction of leaving the old way, let's say, a bit behind and going for more compact and more sustainable solution in all the way. I will just make a quick point on the hybrid side. Actually, the industry is kind of, if I might say, reversing the way of just removing the main propulsion engine in new projects to have generators and then electric engine and very small battery pack. So at the end, just shifting from conventional engine, getting all the power demand when needed to flat use of the generators and having these batteries on the side just for peak demands, then it's helping a lot in just reducing the consumption. So it's something, let's say, simple, technically speaking, but happening more and more on big size projects. I mean, from 40 meters and up to like 130, they just, let's say, reverse the curve of having those generators powering most of the vessel and not directly on IC engines. So it's very interesting as well to see this. Sometimes we have innovation in mind when we speak about decarbonization, but as well simple things that's all existing already, just the different way around. Always interesting to see how it's moving in this direction.
Yeah, great to hear. There's a lot of development in this area, I think, and we will see new innovative propulsion technologies in the near future. That's very good. Coming to my next question, how does these systems compare in performance, cost, and sustainability to traditional diesel engines?
I think when we're looking at nuclear, splitting that question down into three, when you look at performance, it completely changes the operational profile of a yacht. Obviously, when you're not having to counter in fueling up and crossing oceans, and you have basically an endless tank of fuel, because these units run for 10, 15 years without needing any maintenance. So from the performance side, it's pretty exciting, especially when you look at the Explorer market. When it comes down to costs, that's probably going to be one of the biggest drivers for seeing this new change in nuclear, in the sense that it's now way more affordable than it ever has been, based on the fact these units are a lot smaller and a lot easier to deploy. We're not looking at billions of pounds worth of investment anymore. So for yacht owners and for shipping companies, the cost is it's a long-term investment for them, which is a really exciting shift. On the sustainability front, obviously, as soon as you can burn less diesel, then you're already winning. I think with nuclear, it's always been an obvious choice for the most sustainable option. It's just never been there ready for us to install into a boat. But with these changes that are coming, that's obviously going to be a really attractive choice for yacht owners who are keen to build a sustainable yacht.
Thank you, Lydia. Yeah, please.
On economics perspective, so what we've noticed in experiments, that we have two topics. So the conventional yachts and super yachts existing with the diesel engine that were able to burn biofuels without any technical change, which is HVO type of fuel. So it's one type in the biofuel world, let's say, because we have plenty. And in this field, with the current geopolitical situation, every morning the fuel market is trading, so it's changing every morning, the cost. some morning, the HVO is cheaper than conventional GO. So just on the existing fleet, without changing anything, just thinking about what can we burn in the same boat to reduce the pollution. Some days right now, those bioproducts are cheaper than GO because of the geopolitics. Some other days, same price, and then it's becoming back slightly more expensive, but the gap have been reduced hardly the last 2 months. So it's very, let's say, fresh change market with this geopolitics. Of course, we don't know if it will length this way, price speaking, but it's something to take under consideration right now, because before we were talking with vessels saying, okay, we have at least 40-50 cents difference per liter on such biofuel products. Right now, it's not the truth those weeks and short months. So it's something we keep an eye closely on, and we work with some management companies that are taking all the research of fuel for the clients on them, and it's very strategic for the market to secure some volume for their boats, so then they can sail around with cleaner fuels, and they don't have to change anything, engine room speaking. The other part is more when we have to do more innovative projects. So Lydia, you were mentioning, for example, vessels as Breakthrough, as well Almax from San Lorenzo with the methanol, and then the reformer and fuel cell with gas hydrogen. There is this new as well San Lorenzo coming 2027, which is Mystic with dual fuel combustion engines. So MAN for the main propulsion and Nanny for the gens. And those engines can burn methanol and GO. So in such, let's call them more innovative vessels where you don't have 100% conventional propulsion, then we have extra cost for the fuel when we want to be cleaner. What I mean is that saying a vessel can burn methanol doesn't mean it will be that's much cleaner energy during production process and during the use. So we can do like methanol, actually, if we take the gray one, it's very, very cheap energy. And if you use for the gens only, so hotel load, no propulsion, it's not even a fuel. It's considered as a chemical, so you don't have any taxation on. So we have some, let's say, hole in the bucket, if I can call that this way, where economics can drive more energy transition with those newer fuel. But then we have to be careful because some of them, even if they are, let's say, newer or more innovative, doesn't mean they are always decarbonizing a lot or significantly. So the economics are a bit, let's say, tricky if you really want to be very, very green. Word I don't really like, but let's use it to be clear today. Then it will be quite expensive on. But we have solutions in the middle existing where you can have a bit cleaner product of like 10-20% minus CO2 reduction, for example, as a start. And then economics are closer to conventional. So there isn't this huge jump. As Lydia was saying, in nuclear field a couple of years ago, it was crazy in nuclear. And same for the other technologies. It was, a big gap financially. Now it's restricting.
Okay, thank you. What technical or regulatory challenges do the shipyards and all the stakeholders have to deal with to adapt these technologies in the private yachts?
I'm happy to go first on this one again, if it's okay that I stick with the nuclear. But yeah, when our team started on this journey, they thought that the regulators and the regulations that stood at the time were going to be the biggest challenge. Fortunately, actually, the biggest challenge with that is just having enough time and planning ahead. The regulators and the classification societies that we've been working with have fully backed the unit that we are promoting. Obviously, it takes time with the IMO, but these things are gradually kind of getting there, and we're hoping that we'll have all the regulation in place by 2027, 2028 to see a nuclear unit on a boat by 2030. So it's all happening. We've got a clear roadmap. I would say the biggest challenge now after regulation is obviously public perception. So that's the next the big step.
Yeah, maybe as well some crew acceptance on board.
Yeah, so when it comes to shipyards and marinas, obviously we're going through the testing at the moment for this unit, and what they'll be establishing is whether the shipyards will need to hold a license for these vessels to visit. But because these units are so small and so safe, ideally they won't need to hold a license, but they're all safeguarded units, so that fuel is always tracked, and there's no way it can obviously be removed from the boat at any time. And the license holder would be the manufacturer. So that's kind of the approach that we're taking with this unit that we're working with. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting few years. It's been already quite exciting to have the backing from Lloyd's Register and other classification societies that we're working with. So it'll be interesting.
Yeah, I can imagine. Camille, do you have anything to add, or should I jump over to the next question?
Just for the regulation part, maybe there are, let's say, two aspects. We have the IMO, as we've been talking about. So what is, let's say, required from, the biggest body to implement on board. And in the other hand, we have classification societies. Some of the classification societies have been working for the past 15 years already with the commercial shipping on newer technologies. So some of them, they're very, very high in terms of capabilities to certified, let's say, cleaner yachts or more innovative yachts. So we foresee some of them each time behind a big project coming out, like Lursen, Fatship, San Lorenzo, Viters. So when we speak about how regulation is impacting, let's say, the decarbonization, there are those two main topics. One is driving if we are getting stuck because of IMO, then we will start to do something, which is one part of the discussion, let's say. But some shipyard, they have decided because of the owner or shipyard itself to move in any case, because they already think if we don't move now, we will lose market shares in, as Lydia was saying, 2030 will be a first real shift in the industry. And unfortunately, let's say only the first one, but still it's coming. So some shipyards have decided, doesn't matter what happened with IMO, to just move forward, to be ready once restrictions will fall, because in 1-2 years' time, shipyards cannot manage to be 100% ready with all sea trials and stuff. So they are taking years in advance, as, for example, the name as I gave. So classification societies, they are able and totally capable today, and some of them especially, to make newer technologies. They have hands in already, and they go until the full vessel compliance. So if there is any project to anyone listening today, just feel free to reach out to them, because they can make it up. Doesn't matter what happened, let's say, with IMO. So yeah, I think we should not always wait about regulation coming or classification. They do the job when you need and when you have the project on. And you ask for technical, but I think it will be too long to answer that, because it's really depending on each vessel, use, goods, technology you want to onboard. Some stuff are very, very simple and close to what we are used to have on board. So no big change. Some others you have to rethink all the vessel. So it's really depending, but we can do simple things technically with decarbonization as well.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Yeah, when you are coming already to my next question, are these alternative propulsion systems and nuclear and so on only fitting to some yachts, or is there a matter of size, or is it applicable for small ones or big ones? Maybe you can bring us some more information for which clients, which size of the yachts these systems are useful and make sense.
Yeah, so when the NOx-free team first started on their nuclear journey, the designs that they were looking at were very different in 2021 to what we're looking at now, mainly because of the shift in technology. So originally the design that we were looking at was actually a 140 meter boat. We've now got that down. We've got several concepts out at the moment. We're looking at 60, 70 meters, but these units that we are working with could actually be put on a 45 meter and above, which obviously is a complete game changer for the industry. So it's completely opened up that market.
Mm-hmm.
For the smallest vessel, as long as you have diesel engine, the biofuel is the easiest answer and solution. Like, you don't change, you just double check with engine manufacturers and you bunker something else, which will drop in fuel, which means you can have only 10%, 20, 30, up to 100. So it's something, when we say you blend 10% HVO with GO, for example, it's only 2 cents extra per liter, which is something like manageable. And if you blend 10%, you have 6% CO2 emission cut straight when you burn it with the engine. So when I'm saying small vessels, I mean from diesel propulsion, so not the tender with petrol engines, but at least when you start with the smallest 10 meters, 11 meters with the first diesel, then the HVO, the biofuel, is the, let's say, most simple answer right now. Then when you want to move with newer technologies, the, let's say, pain point is about the size of the tanks. So methanol is slightly bigger than GO, then hydrogen it's much more different. So you need bigger space. That's one of the main reasons why we don't have on very small vessels such projects when you need bigger range. So we've seen some gas hydrogen compressed projects on like tender sites, but then it's very expensive vessels for the range, so it's hard to penetrate as a market. So it's a bit, let's say, a tricky position on, we can make it as it's short range, but then the cost of the vessel is very expensive for now. So then those technologies, that's where you've seen Cosmos for Merson and Breakthrough from Fedship with H2 technologies, but on 100 meters plus. The methanol, sorry, is starting on the market from 45 meters, the smallest project for now. Most of them is around 50 meters. Same, it's 1.3, 1.4, the energy density of GO. So you need slightly bigger tanks, but as well you can blend it in the tanks if you want. So again, a bit more space, and we cannot remove a gas cabin to say you will have amazing tank replacing it, and you will be very happy to have more fuel on board. So then that's where it's needed for bigger size projects. Yeah. And any, you can of course put HVO in diesel engine, any size. Not
I actually
very interesting. I see that we are running a little bit out of time, so coming to an end and looking across of all these innovations, which propulsion technologies do you think will have the biggest impact on the yachting industry over the next 5 to 10 years, and why?
Camille, I'll let you take this one first. I think you know what I'm going to say.
Let me get the magic ball.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously I'm super excited about nuclear in yachting. There's a huge potential for it, and obviously we're speaking about super yachts at the moment, but behind the scenes we're looking at putting these on humanitarian vessels, powering small islands, and you know, they could be used to power a town in the middle of the desert. So there's lots of potential with what we're doing in this space, and yachting is obviously a really exciting part of that.
Thank you. Very exciting.
I don't think I can answer one solution, to be honest, because depending on vessels and use, region, size of vessel, I really don't think we will have one as we had GO for the past decades. So let's say the easiest one is about, as I was saying, this hybridization with generators, very, very small battery pack just for the peak demands and connected with the electric engine. And if you just put biofuels inside, you can cut emissions a lot, and you can do it only on existing fleets. So the easiest, let's say, is this biofuel discussion. Then the point is about, I think the real question behind is which emission do we want to cut? Because then depending on the answer, we have various solutions. And even with one energy, you can use it differently. Just taking methanol, if you burn it, you still have carbon, so you still have CO2, less than GO, but you still have. If you transform methanol into hydrogen on board and you capture the carbon, then you have only hydrogen burn in the engine or in fuel cell. So even with one energy, we can use differently depending on the vessel project, what you take care of, if you want to avoid vibration on board or not. So complex answer. Let's say biofuel is the easiest to implement for now on the existing fleets, will be my last word.
Thank you. Thank you, Lydia. Thank you, Camille, for the insight in the alternative propulsion systems, which are coming up in the future.
Thanks, Claudia.
No, thank you all. This is very insightful. And definitely we see the passion, because we could have definitely continued talking about this for a lot longer. But to keep the form moving forward, we're going to take that second 2-minute break and continue with our next session. Thank you, everyone. Hello, welcome back. We're going to shift gears a little bit, moving from propulsion more to everyday sustainability. So the next session is everyday sustainability on board practices and client perspectives. So this session will focus on the practical day-to-day sustainable practices that make a tangible difference on board yachts. Experts will discuss eco-friendly, biodegradable cleaning products, responsible consumables, energy and water saving systems, and operational measures. And we also have insights from what would the owners want, thanks to our experts online. To moderate this session, I am happy to welcome Monica Fonseca. Monica Fonseca is a global luxury advisor and founder of Fonseca Advisory. With 15 years of experience connecting with ultra net worth individuals, clients with off-market opportunities in yacht sales and charter, art advisory, luxury real estate, and strategic business partnerships. Welcome, Monica.
Thank you so much, Andrea. So we're going to be talking today with Amira Bakaheva, who is the manager at ETYC, specializing in marketing, project management, and sustainability. Through her work at ETYC, she supports high-profile forums focused on sustainable innovation, shipbuilding, and long-term value, bridging digital strategy with ecological and commercial initiatives across the marine sector. We also have Jelena Bezia, who is yacht broker at the Ocean Independence in Monaco with 14 years of experience in the yachting industry, specializing in both yachts and sales, specializing both in yacht sales and charter. She managed transactions and curates bespoke charter itineraries. Fluent in 4 languages, Jelena holds 3 international degrees, blending technical experience, creativity, and deep industry knowledge. We also have Leah Tennant, is the founder of Washdown, developing biotechnology-based cleaning solutions designed to care for materials, human health, and the environment across the superyacht and marine industry. Inspired by her experience as former superyacht crew, She is helping redefine sustainable cleaning standard across the marine industry. So we're going to start with Amira. Amira, could you please help us to understand how important is sustainability to clients who, when they choose a yacht for charter, and how? Sorry.
It's okay.
Sorry. How important is sustainability to clients when choosing a yacht for charter, and how do you highlight eco-friendly practices without making it feel forced?
I'd say it really depends on the client and their sensitivity to sustainability, because for some charter guests, especially public figures or clients with an image to protect, choosing a less polluting yacht can matter a lot, especially if the yacht can actually prove its efforts with real data and measurable actions, I mean. But honestly, guests are also interested when sustainability improves their experience at the same time. For example, some yachts using HVO biofuel noticed less fuel smell on board and around the water, while also significantly reducing air pollution. So when sustainability brings practical benefits as well, it feels much more natural, I'd say, and less forced to people.
All right, thank you. Jelena, how can sustainable practices like energy and water efficiency translate into measurable cost saving for yacht operations?
Hello, everyone, and thank you, Andrea, for having me today. So I think, as a broker, I have a more pragmatic point of view, as always, on certain things. So I can hear from the clients. So the solutions that do actually work, these are the solutions that are, first of all, not reducing their comfort on board. And obviously, these are the two solutions that are, I think, the easiest to implement on every yacht, and it will not depend on the size of the vessel. And we can obviously understand that a water filter can be put on every vessel. So this is the first solution, which is very easy. And obviously, the new intelligent power management system, they allow a much better management on board the yachts. And this is also easily implementable. So yeah, I think these two would be essential. And as we discussed earlier, will not necessarily depend on the size of the vessels.
Of course. Thank you. And for Liam, how do you believe environmental impact and human health interlink, particularly within enclosed luxury environments such as yachts, hotels, and private residence?
Yeah, of course. So I feel like there's a massive interlink between human health and sustainability, and I think it's something that's not always put together. We look at sustainability with regards to materials and ESG, but we don't necessarily link that directly to human health. And I think it's so important because it obviously has a full circle movement. But for example, when you're looking at, for us, with sustainable cleaning products, and actually the VOCs and the chemicals that traditional cleaning products release, and actually the health effects that has from the air that you're breathing in, especially on super yachts where it's recycled air. They've done a recent study showing that air in the interior, whether it's a luxury hotel or a super yacht where it's recycled, is 100 times more polluted than outdoor air. And then if you're continuously spraying like toxic chemicals, that's obviously then just recycled again and again and again. And so I think it's really important that we both don't just look at the sustainability side, but as a whole. So it's like health and care for the environment, for materials, for the ocean, because ultimately that impacts every single one of us beyond just an ESG report.
Exactly. And that's something that we don't even notice on the day-to-day basis. Yeah. For Amira, thank you. Can you share some examples of how sustainable onboard practices have directly improved guest satisfaction or experience?
One simple yet very effective example is replacing plastic water bottles with personalized reusable bottles for guests. Some yachts, they even added guest name or cabin names on them on the bottles, and sometimes even a drawing of the yacht itself to make it feel like more luxury gift than a restriction. And the feedback for this was very positive because guests, they would keep the water bottle and keep the water cold after swimming, and even take the bottle home afterward, so like a souvenir of their little trip. And operationally, it's not necessarily much more expensive in the long term compared to constantly buying plastic water bottles on board, while also reducing a huge amount of waste. And we also noticed that using more natural cleansing products improves onboard comfort because strong chemical smells are often unpleasant for guests, and this is something that we often forget about.
Great. I love the bottle with the name on it idea. Really,
Everyone loves
should be
it.
implemented in all the yachts. Really clever. And it's something simple, minimum to do. Right.
Yeah.
Jelena, what are the most cost-effective sustainable upgrades or practices that still have a visible impact on guests?
I think, as we mentioned earlier, obviously better fresh water management, and the biggest operational challenge is coming from the power management on board. So this has to be dealt with intelligently. This is what we discussed earlier. I think the easiest also, this has been pretty much implemented through almost all yachts now, is LED lighting, which you can see everywhere on board. And this obviously also reduces the energy demand quite drastically. And it's an easy solution to implement as well. HVAC optimization is equally important, but that again goes back to intelligent power management. And I think obviously crew awareness, and I think Amira can actually add something on that, because crew can be an essential part of making the yacht more sustainable. And this is obviously coming with the training. And I think it's, as an industry, we need to aim to try to educate the owners, but it should not be something that they will be taken as a constraint. It has to be aligned with the luxury experience, because I think it's important to understand that sustainability has to enhance the luxury experience at board. If it is being seen by owners as something, as a compromise, they're not necessarily ready to compromise on the level of their comfort. So I think what we need to do is to rebuild the whole sustainability around the comfort. This is my broker's perspective, because at the end, I think these people, they are expecting certain comfort on board. They're our owners, and we all know what sort of luxury they're used to in a luxury hotel. So we cannot be expecting them doing more, let's say, concessions on board the luxury yacht than they would be doing in the hotels.
Of course. Yeah, and this should come from the crew as well. As you said, it should be born from the training onwards to implement and then make it easier for the guests. Leah, what strategies do you use to integrate eco-friendly products without compromising safety or hygiene standards?
Yeah, of course. So it's just like Jelena was really like just touching upon. And again, one of the main reasons why we started Washdown is I think it's important to, like, things need to be sustainable, but when it comes to performance, there shouldn't be a trade-off between the two. So one thing for us that we've really put into every single formulation, and we went through a very vigorous R&D stage where we were trialing and testing all of the solutions with super yacht crew at the same time to make sure the performance was better than the chemical products that they were already using, and it was actually making their lives easier. So for example, you're using one product like our detailing spray, and that would replace, for example, like vinegar, alcohol, cleaners for their outside as well, and again in between detailing for the exterior. And I think it's really where you, like you said, there's innovation within that sector, but you need to be creating products that make people's lives easier, make the owners' lives easier, and it's not a compromise. And I feel like if you're not doing that, then it's very hard to change a culture. Whereas I think one is obviously the performance side, and then it's the education side for crew and for owners and for guests, because a lot of the time you typically trust manufacturers. If they're putting products out there, you trust the fact that that product should be safe for your health, that it shouldn't damage materials, and it should be safe for the ocean. And as I found a lot of the time working on super yachts, when you look at the data sheets, that isn't the case at all. And they're a contradiction to those luxury markets and those luxury spaces that they're used in between. So I personally believe it's a mix of products that work better than the products that are already available with the sustainable benefits, education, and then I also think costing comes into that as well, of course. So I think it's making products that are accessible and are better than the products that are already on the market, and then the education around that to why that culture should change. Because something that we found, and something that I found a lot with it when I was working on super yachts, is that from the crew side, where if they've done something a certain way for a long time and the captain said, oh, well, we've always kind of done it like that, it's very hard to change that, which is why you guys at E2IC, it's so important what you're doing, because you're actually educating them on those positive changes. And I think there's sometimes like a stereotype around green products or more sustainable products that they don't work, because that has been the history of them, whereas now there's a lot more innovation. And I think it's so important that we educate on that and collaborate on that with like management companies, crew, with like E2IC and groups like yourselves, so that it's coming from all angles, and then the crew have the best knowledge and the best accessibility to products to then help the guests and help owners change as well.
Great. So it's all about education. And this one for Amira. How can crew and owners align sustainability initiatives with maintaining high standards of luxury and comfort for clients?
Sorry. Okay, so I was saying that I think a big part of it comes down to sourcing and choosing the right providers, like other speakers always said, because the sustainable market is honestly not so different from any other market. There are very good products like there can be very bad ones, like in any regular market. So the challenge is really to find solutions that are both sustainable and efficient enough to maintain luxury standards on board. So it's really finding trusted partners. And I also think that sustainability projects only work long-term when everyone shares the same goals. So meaning if one crew member tries to implement something alone, it usually doesn't go very far, especially if there is a true crew turnover, And that is why having a clear environmental policy between the crew, the owner, or the management company or whatever is really important if you want to have sustainable results in the long term.
Sure. Well, I have a couple of wrap-up questions. Looking ahead, what one everyday sustainable practice would you recommend for every yacht to adopt immediately to make the biggest impact on both operations and guest experience? To any of you.
I can answer first if you want.
Please, yes.
Okay, so honestly, reducing harmful chemical products and limiting plastic use as much as possible, especially plastic water bottles, as we said, is the first thing we need to do. It sounds simple, but many yachts still haven't fully adopted these practices, and even though the impact on both guest comfort and waste reduction can already be significant. So yeah.
Thank you so much.
I would also agree. I think it's something that's massively overlooked and something that's very easily implementable and something that you can change overnight. Obviously, we're looking at fuel and different options like that, but I think looking at the small things that make a big impact, like plastic, chemicals, and reducing unnecessary materials and storage of products as well.
100%.
Yes, I think I would just add that obviously operational efficiency is important, as I mentioned earlier. So I think this is also very easy to implement, and we've been looking into different sophisticated solutions. 10 years ago, the industry started to push hybrid propulsion. If you look closely into it, you understand that producing lithium batteries has also, very bad repercussions on the environment. So I think, using the system that we already have on board in a smart way, just not regulating the load of main systems on board, dropping the temperature by a couple of degrees. This has been proven to be very efficient, and this is something that can help the environment. It can be implemented on every yacht, not necessarily going to cost a fortune to look into new systems and solutions.
Sure. Right. So our last question is, how do you see the expectations of clients and owners evolving around sustainability in the
Monica, actually, we don't have time for the second wrap-up question. Thank you, everyone. I really appreciated the session. We have tons of comments. I didn't have time to actually pop on the screen. Very insightful. Thank you for all the data.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you,
Andrea. Thanks. So everyone that's still online, don't worry. It's a 2-minute break and we're coming for our last session. Thank you, guys. This session will explore how yacht owners and prospective clients are influencing the adoption of sustainable practices across the industry, drawing on surveys, market research, and expert perspectives. The discussion will reveal what clients prioritize when considering eco-friendly yachts, from propulsion systems and materials to onboard operations. Experts will examine trends in demand and willingness to invest in sustainable features, and how client expectations are shaping design, refits, and operational practices. To moderate the session, I am very happy to welcome Nady Maddock. Nady Maddock is an international moderator and media anchor specializing in maritime yachting, corporate and government events. With over a decade of global expertise, she has hosted high-profile seminars from trade delegations, diplomatic events, interviewing CEOs, ministers, and industry leaders across the US, Middle East, Europe, and Asia. I leave you in good hands. Take it away, Nady.
Thank you, Andrea, for the lovely introduction, and it's a pleasure to be on board for the entire session, and especially with Bilge Atal and Carmen Lau, who will join me as their panelists. But please allow me a few words so that I can formally introduce them like the way you formally introduced me. Thank you. So Bilge Atal is the co-founder of Baz Yacht Design, a multi-award winning studio based in Turkey and Germany, specializing in yacht design, interiors and refit projects. Her work combines timeless aesthetics, functionality, and a thoughtful approach to life at sea. Carmen Lau is the Senior Advisor at Camper Nicholson's Asia and the founder of S&S Stratton Limited. She has overseen yacht construction, established Benete's Asia operations, founded her own management company, and expanded Camper Nicholson's presence in Asia since 2018. Once again, welcome Bilge and Carmen. And I'm so delighted that you all are here on this last but not the least segment to share your first-hand authentic experiences right from the ground as we talk about a sustainable approach to eco-friendly yachts and the trends happening today. So let's set the scene a bit. You know, we talked about the various strategies, we talked about alternative propulsion systems. Nuclear is getting obviously very trendy. Owners' mindsets have shifted from the days of Christina O, and let's see what happens next. So I will direct some questions, kindly bear with me, so that we can obviously get a dynamic voice out there. So in terms of, as Andrea set the scene, it is important to understand why we are having this conversation. How can the client expectations ultimately lead to better decision-making at shipyards, with designers, with brokers, and finally align them towards financial returns and alignment for structuring such purchases? So may I, Bilge, to you address the first question? And you have obviously been an award-winning team behind your company, and I'd like to ask you, how do clients balance sustainability with other priorities such as luxury, performance, or aesthetics? Over to you, Bilge.
Now sustainability is, as we talked before, is not anymore an add-on. It's like expected lifestyle, but of course, clients still wants the beauty, the comfort, the performance, and but at the same time, the definition of luxury is evolving. I also live and work aboard on my own sailing yacht for several months a year, and we also over time transformed our sailing yacht to an off-grid self-sufficient floating home. So I do not only design the yacht, I also experience the realities of sustainability on my everyday life.
Yes,
and
that's the best way.
Yes. And living off-grid on my own boat taught me that the true luxury is often about simplicity and comfort and more connection with the sea. And that was one of our experience recently we had with the project that we were working, Iliad 53F off-grid hybrid catamaran project, which will be launched on the upcoming Cannes Boat Show, which we are very excited now. And during that conversations with the shipyard and the client, the conversations were not only based on the energy systems or the technical solutions, but they were also about how people actually want to live on board with the extended periods of time with their friends and families and loved ones. Because living off-grid is not only having the independence from energy systems, it's also being independent from the land side. And this gives you longer stays on board. And I think at this point, design becomes very important. Sustainable solutions doesn't have to feel like restrictive or like, let's say, technological. And
May I add something here, Bilge? You recently won an award about the RAN 6.2. Obviously, it is your passion. So can you elaborate a bit on that, since we're talking about sustainability versus the luxury and the wow factor? I'm sure you incorporated the wow factor with the functionality and your own simplicity. So if you could shed a few perspectives on that, it would be appreciated.
Yes, sure. That one also was a day cruiser, and for keeping longer times on sea, and like having all the new technologies integrated in a simpler way of living, which you don't feel it when you are on board, but it gives you all the benefits of the simpler life and calmer sea and safety integrated inside, but without having that also the visual noise.
Fantastic, fantastic. Now let me shift the spotlight a bit towards Carmen, who's been around the industry, and then I'll come back to you, Bilge, with the other questions.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for all the wonderful work you're doing and your perspectives. Now over to Carmen. Carmen, you've been around a long, long time, since 2018, and with your own company. Obviously, in your advisory and your management capacity, you have seen several shifts in client expectations over the past few years. Can I have your take on that, please?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. I think they're more curious to know about what is out there, with the hybrid propulsion system, with now all different kind of solar panels, solar run boats. How does it actually benefit between different power system to the actual propulsion system? They are very interested to learn and to know, but in terms of the implementation, it's, let's say, probably 5% of the real implementation, but they are very interested, which is a good point. And in sometimes things very simple that could that from the crew, which with a reasonable owner is just probably expanding how we do not use change the water system into, instead of million of water bottle and put in the aft deck, use better filter system that even the crew themselves is will drink on board, because quite often the crew will say, yes, we have a drinking water system, good filter system, but then you see in the crew mess a big what do you call it? A big container water bottle in the crew mess. So definitely from the owner side, they're curious, they wanted to know, and they're very interest to learn also to use different material when they're doing new boats, like in terms of teak, in terms of the different type of marble that is more sustainable. Yeah, I can see a shift, but in terms of implementation, maybe because I'm more focused on the Asian clients, it's not enough.
It's very interesting what you said, 5%. It's
5%, but referring to what you just mentioned, it's really the practical use and the data to show, look, if we change the system, in the initial investment, it might seem small, but in a long term, if you keep it for 5 years, because you use this more eco-friendly system, you actually get in terms of money-wise, but also making less footprint. So it's we need some time to work on that.
Absolutely. It's a community effort. It's a united approach. And you mentioned, obviously, you have more interaction with Asian clients. And I'd like to build upon this and ask you, are there any particular segments of the market, for example, the size, the type, the region, as you currently mentioned, Asia, that show a higher interest in sustainable yacht purchases?
Purchase it's like I said, it's not enough, but definitely places like Philippines, Indonesia, more remote places, that they are more closer to the nature. They have great diving sites, great reef. They are more paying attention to how they treat their in terms of the waste system, which is really nice. But it's not just the owner, but mainly the crew is really care about the environment. So they are very careful on their plastic consumption. They're very careful on after they have a lovely barbecue, how they treated the waste. So this sort of behavior I've noticed in Asia.
That's a very interesting perspective. So keep going, Carmen, and congratulations on the work you've been doing so far. And let's go back to what Bilge has to say in terms of market trends and demands when it comes to client expectations. Bilge, obviously you live on your boat, so that's fantastic. Floating villas are a dream come true for me one day when I do have the right success and the magic wand. But let's say, do you foresee any upcoming technologies or regulations that could significantly change the demand for eco-friendly yachts?
I think naturally the regulations will push the industry for cleaner technologies and especially regarding emissions, marine access, and energy efficiency. But at the same time, I believe the more interesting shift will come from changing the production method and changing ownership expectations. For example, years ago, we were working on a 3D printed yacht project called Tanarus. It was small day boats between 4.5 meters, 6.5 meters, based on recycled materials, and with the logic of circular production, which means the idea was that the client could technically bring the yacht back and remelt, recycle the material, and evolve to a larger design instead of starting from the scratch. So that was very interesting for us, for our team, to be working on it, and seeing and discussions about circular designs and material sustainabilities like that. And I believe about additive manufacturing like this technologies will become more increasingly relevant in interior design part also, not only for the structural experimentations. It will be like customized interior finish elements, which we are also now working on, and we are practicing some interior finish products with 3D prints with different materials, translucent or recycled materials again. So by this way, we can personalize or onboard products, or we can do customized interior finish materials.
Fantastic.
So it will increase mass production, and it will be more. It can give more client-specific elements. And I think it will be a future of luxury, because luxury is becoming more personal and experience-based. So I think this is an interesting way.
Yes, I think you hit the nail on the head when you said luxury is becoming more of an experience. And with Gen X and Gen Z, the lifestyles are changing. Investment possibilities are getting to a different level. As I said in my opening lines, the days of Christina O are completely different from what yacht owners and yacht investors are looking for today, including captains. There is a certain ethic and commitment towards environmental responsibility and protection and conservation of our oceans. And obviously, foundations like His Serene Highness and the Prince Albert Foundation are very committed to this trajectory. So now let's move on to Carmen again. Thank you very much, Bilge. I'd like to again shift back to what Carmen has to say. Have you encountered clients who resist sustainability initiatives, and what are the main concerns, Carmen?
The cost. I think not just on yachts, but let's say in our typical household. I don't know whether you're aware or not, but because of how the market goes, things doesn't last as long. Even if you buy a Dyson vacuum cleaner, things, they just break down in 2-3 years. Or they will have some program on a yacht that will stop you from upgrading the system. So cost is one thing, because quite often when we build a yacht, or when we have to, mainly when we involve yachts, we have different system. We have fence, environmental friendly system, but there's always on the option list. It's not on the basic. So on the option list, meaning it's price increase. Then, as much as we as a broker would like to push it, at the end, we need a result of why to justify why is the owner going to pay extra. Plus, also, to be fair, sometimes being environmental friendly, it takes time and effort to do it right, even at home when we're doing recycle. So doing a very busy owner's use time, the crew has to be efficient, not to jeopardize their service, not to just jeopardize the quality. Then this sort of environmental friendly, careful on your recycle, it's become a second in priority. So resistance is mainly on the price, and also on the long term, how they can maintain the value of the yachts. Let's say, for example, with the hybrid system now, why is this going to be a long solution? I mean, a lot of them, because of their business, doing different type of power generated system, related system, they know a lot more than some of us, because they are in the business, and they go, look, I have my doubt in certain part of the system. I prefer the old traditional way more. So it's really knowing with the more statistic that we still need together, and the price. Then the third one is the ease of use. Sometimes it's that's the difficulty we encounter sometimes.
So you believe that we need more data-driven decisions in order to drive it to the next level?
Yeah, more justification of why it's better, and in long term, how much, how will they impact the environment? Because at the end of the day, we're talking about 12,000 yachts in the world. Like, to them, that might be probably the least time they would wanted to think about what kind of impact they will make, but they will be more cautious on their villa, what type of power sources they have, change it all to LED, have a bigger water tank, better filter system. But on a yacht, it's not there yet.
Interesting. Bilge, I would like to ask you now, in terms of, to build up on what Carmen just said, from the design or purchase process, how early in this stage of the design and purchase process do client expectations around the conscious sustainability impact actually emerge?
I think it's in the very, very beginning of the stage. It should be, because it's all integrated in the system. You cannot separate it. It's from the engineering part, the interior design part, to all the materials and all the systems. They all have to be taught from the very beginning.
Absolutely. And have you ever encountered any challenges in this process?
Let's think. Maybe we can say at the beginning, when it's sustainability, it gives the idea that it has to be a technological looking, or not comfortable, or that kind of thing. But when you show it's the way you think on the living on sea, it's also calm And that's what we did in Iliad, for example. We tried to do not to make a technological interior. The opposite side, it was very calm and balanced. So the owner is very happy with the end because it's not it's silence on the technical part, and also for the interior and the living from inside to outside. It's all one.
Fantastic. So far we've looked at the client priorities, Carmen and Bilge. We looked at market trends and the demand for eco-friendly yachts. We then also looked at the willingness aspect, if there are any clients who resist the sustainability initiatives, and what are the main concerns. As you clearly said, Carmen, it's the costs, which you very clearly put across. It's the reality. So obviously much work needs to be done in this area in terms of convincing and driving a mission statement forward for the safety and security of our future. Let's go back to Bilge and then over to you, Carmen. So Bilge, looking ahead, what's the single most important change you think yacht owners, designers and brokers should focus on to accelerate sustainability in the market?
I think the most important shift is moving from short-term trends to long-term thinking. So sustainability is not only about propulsion systems and technology, as we talked before, and it's about creating yachts. And so if people truly connects with emotionally and wants to keep the yacht for many, many years, it's the longer it remains the yacht, and naturally it comes more sustainable. At the first session also, Charlotte was mentioning for this. So if it lasts long, there is no need to change. It's the most sustainable way. So I believe in the industry, they should focus more on longevity, adaptability, and timeless design. So for this, for brokers, designers, and shipyards, all play an important role to communicate this mind with the client's part. So at the end, because today the real luxury is increasingly playing an important role for communicating all the mindsets of the client.
Fantastic. Your take, Carmen, please.
Yeah, I agree of all of the above. Plus, the other element might be better education or information sharing with the crew as well, because the captain quite often will be the top manager, the CEO, when the owner is not on board to run it. So there's a lot of things in his hand that, with the amazing budget that they have, can do without actually affecting the owner's use or asking the owner for more money. So I think we can at least start with that. And slowly we can implement, as you say, a more better system, not focus on the trend, focus on contemporary, timeless type of design, and maybe other type of material, teak-like material, use other material rather than better stainless steel, not just to build cheap, but to build it also with a nice warranty. Maybe in one day, if our yacht warranty is more than 1 or 2 years, that's a good sign. At least make it minimum years. Maybe that's a good sign, meaning that the yacht builder is putting a stamp to say, we're very proud of the product. You might pay a bit more, but at least you get a longer guarantee. So I think this could be our next
Thank you,
target.
ladies. Yes, absolutely. There's never a dull moment, and we must keep going. So thank you, ladies, for your first-hand experiences. It's a pleasure to have you on the panel. And now over to Andrea for the formal closing. Thank you, Andrea. Over to you.
Thank you, everyone. I'm so happy that we ended the forum with this session. I think it wrapped up nicely. What are the realities of us moving forward when it comes to sustainability projects? So thank you, everyone. So as Nettie said, we're doing the closing. Thank you everyone for being here. We are so grateful for all our speakers, not only the ones in this last session, not only you see their insight and experiences being shared here so candidly, but everyone really moves mountains logistically to be here May and before we move into the summer months. Are really busy across the board, charter brokers, yacht designers, and everyone's really doing the final push. So thank you everyone for being here. A huge thank you to our sponsors and supporters, because without your generosity, we just couldn't do this event and any of the other Yacht Femme events. So Abordo Magazine, as well as our lead and main sponsor, Robert Allen Law. If you missed any sessions, don't worry. Replays will be available soon on YouTube. And also each session will be converted into a podcast for all of you that are podcast fans. I will send the link to the registrants, and also the links will be available on the website on the forum page. Our next event will take place right here very, very soon on June 10th. We're bringing back our more successful forum, which is about luxury marketing. Our next in-person event will take place in the south of France at Cannes and then in Monaco. Thank you again for being part of this forum. If you would like to learn more about supporting Yacht Femme as a sponsor, please let me know at yachtfame@gmail.com. We look forward to seeing you at our next Yacht Femme event as we continue to empower women in the yachting industry. Thank you, everyone.